Hi guys, and welcome to another video from Stupid is the Norm, the channel where we demonstrate how to become a millionaire in 10 years on minimum wage. And in this video I'm going to explain to you, I'm going to beg you, teach you why it is that you just have to get involved in property, please. But first I want to introduce you to the illusion that is money. I was watching another YouTube channel, it's called All the Honeys, and it's run by a lady called Marta, and she reminded me that there was a better explanation of the illusion that is money given by a guy called Alan Watts. Now Alan Watts is an English philosopher, was an English philosopher, sadly he's no longer with us, but he tells this story which explains perfectly the illusion that is money. So Alan Watts tells a story that pre-1971, when we had something called the gold standard, and that is to say that all the countries agreed that they could only print enough money that was equivalent to the amount of gold they had in reserves in their own international banks. So we have the Bank of England, and however much gold we have in there, the most money we could print was equivalent to whatever the gold was worth in there. It was called the gold standard, and all the countries in the world agreed to stick by it. That all changed in 1971 when America under Richard Nixon decided he wanted to print more money than he had gold, and so they left the gold standard. And quickly afterwards, lots of other countries did exactly the same, including ourselves. So back in the day, when they wanted to lend money to another country, they had to physically send them gold. So if England wanted to send money across to Germany, to lend money to Germany, they had to stick it in a truck, drive it over there, and with all the security implications and such like, and then they'd write down their ledger that they'd send some gold to Germany, and then when Germany wanted to pay it back, they'd put the gold on another truck and send it all the way back. Of course that cost money, and it was dangerous as well, because sometimes it got stolen. So all the countries got together. It's a fabrication, by the way, but it's an analogy to explain how it works. So all the countries got together and said, hey, this is a ridiculous waste of money. Why don't we just all agree to put all our gold in one place? And then rather than move the gold when one country lends to another or borrows from another, all we do is have a ledger that says, well, England has now borrowed money from France or whomever, and they just write in the book that some of that gold was now France's instead of England's, and so on and so forth. And they thought it was a great idea, it was going to save a fortune. So they decided to keep it somewhere nice and warm, like the West Indies. But why not? You know, they've got to go and visit it once a year to make sure the ledger's right, and of course they'll take their families with them because it's a bit of a junket, so we'll get the taxpayer to pay for it. Anyway, you understand how it goes. So on the first year of its anniversary, all the countries who store the gold in this place, in this fictitious place in the West Indies, go out there to check the ledger and make sure everything's balanced up. So they all have a good look and sniff around the ledger, and it's all perfectly balanced. And one of the children of the presidents or prime ministers said to the president and prime minister parent and said, hey dad, how's about we go and look at the gold? And he said, what a great idea. So they went to the bank manager. He says, you know, we'll come here to check the ledger's perfect, thank you very much, you're doing a wonderful job, but the young'un would like to see the gold. And the bank manager said, yeah, the gold, well, it's a bit inconvenient right now. He said, well, I'm sure it is, but we've come a long way, we've come all the way from Europe, and we'll just open the door, show the gold, will you? He says, well, it's a bit inappropriate to ask me just now. He says, why? He says, well, if I'm honest, we don't have any gold. He says, what do you mean you don't have any gold? He says, well, we had an earthquake, big earthquake, massive earthquake, and a big hole in the ground opened up and all the gold went into it. He says, you're kidding me, you don't have any gold? Nothing, it's all gone, every bit of it, every penny, don't have a thing. But the ledger's perfect, and we all agree the ledger's perfect. So the world's leaders decided they couldn't tell the public that all the gold had gone because there would be mass panic. So they just decided to keep the ledger going. And as long as the ledger balanced, then everybody was happy. So the leaders of their respective countries went home and just carried on as usual, not telling the populace that there was no gold there, that all this money that they thought was tied to a troy ounce of gold in their bank wasn't there anymore, and it was just useless. It was just made up. It's just plastic in this case. It's completely worthless. Well, save from the couple of pence it takes to make them, it's not tied to anything, it is worthless. But so long as the populace believed that it was worth something, that it was valuable, then they could go on their daily chores and live their life as normal. So to the stage where I can now go to the Apple store and not just want to reiterate, this is not tied to anything, it's not tied to gold, it's just what we believe its value to be. I can now go with enough of these to the Apple store and buy a brand new iPhone worth £800, so long as the owner of the Apple iStore believes in the illusion that these two are worth anything. But they are not, they are just bits of plastic. There is nothing there, it's an illusion. Now the illusion goes deeper than that, because I don't even need to use money. What I can do, I can transfer money from my bank account, just take numbers from my bank account. There's no money in there, don't forget, there's no money, it's just numbers in your bank account. We'll take numbers from my bank account and send it to the Apple iStore's bank account. No cash changes hand, we just move numbers, much like they did on the ledger. Now that terrifies the life out of me. It means that at any one time, if the populace decide not to believe the illusion anymore and not to believe that this has any value, then all the money, the cash under your mattress, the numbers in your bank account are all worthless. And you'd think, well, okay, Perry, what we need to do therefore to solve that problem, should that end of the world scenario come about, we need to get some gold, because then gold is worth something. Well, it's not, because gold is just an illusion itself. Gold is just a shiny metal. We've just given it value over the years because it's shiny and it's difficult to get hold of. But it's just a lump of metal. And so when we believe that the metal is worthless, that too becomes worthless. How about the stock exchange, Perry? We should own stocks in companies, because companies are there, they have big buildings and people who work in them, and they have a value. But that value can change at a whim on a human emotion. We're still going through the COVID thing right now, and with the problems in Ukraine with Russia and what have you, and it's having an impact on businesses across the world. Now the businesses themselves haven't lost any intrinsic value, they're still selling the same things, they're still making the same things that people want, but because people are pessimistic and emotional, they've now dropped the value of the stock market. The value of these companies has changed, has reduced. Not intrinsically, they're still doing them and worth the same thing, but their stock market value has dropped, again because people are stopping to believe the illusion. Now the only thing that escapes the illusion of this being worth something, or stocks and shares being worth something, or gold being worth something, is property. Because property maintains an intrinsic value to the person who wants to live in it. We're fortunate we live in a country that lots of people want to come and live in, and we don't have enough land, which means you have a shortage of land to build houses on. We have less houses than we have people, and that drives the price up. And we'll always have less houses than we have people, because we're short of land. We live on an island. So the property will always have an intrinsic value to somebody who wants to live in it. Now it doesn't matter whether they pay with this or gold or whatever bartering systems around at the time. They may want to pay with 2 sheep and a pig. I don't care. It has a value. They have to pay the owner of that building something of value, whatever we value at that time, in order to stay there, because it has a value to the person who wants to live in it. And that is why you need to get into property. It is the only real thing that exists outside the matrix, if you wish. You need to buy property. Now it took me 2 years of working 80 hours a week to save my first deposit. I don't care how you do it. It might take you longer than that, but I want you to get into property. When you're in a position you have 20 or 25,000 pounds to get into property, get in touch with me, leave a comment below, and I'll put you in touch with the guy who gives me all my properties. Don't be stupid and don't be normal, guys.